Good morning. This is Angela with a cup of tea on Thursday, July 21st, 2011. For the last couple of weeks, I've been talking a lot about individual journeys and how we are going through such a beautiful, beautiful, magnificent experience of gaining enlightenment through our own very individual paths. And I have talked about humor in our spirituality, and I've talked about in our journey, and also childlike wonderment, and how the more we can do that, the more we can believe and remember that everything is possible, the more we open ourselves up to come into our full self-empowerment and to remember who we truly are. So underlying all of that, though, there is one thing that keeps us all together, that keeps us all connected. And it's the one thing that I've been told, and my understanding is the only absolute in this universe, which is love. Now go ahead and start singing the Beatles song, all you need is love. In a tacky way, but yes, it's true. But anyway, so we are from love. You know, the universe is love. The all-encompassing creator or God or spirit or whatever you want to call it is love, and that's what we are. From my understanding also, we've gone through this experience and this existence to experience what it feels like to think that we're separate, to think that we are not of love. And see what I said, the word think, that, and what does thinking come from? Thinking comes from the ego. So we think that we're separate, and we think that we are not of love, and we live in many respects from fear and anxiety and anger and resentments. And that jades the way we deal with everything else in our lives. So, I talked about in the last video how, it takes 3 weeks to establish a habit, but yet we're working through undoing a habit of thousands and thousands of years again of teaching ourselves to live from fear, to think that we're separate, to think that we should have fear and that we should have anxiety and that we, should have anger. So we're undoing this very strong habit, and we're trying to get back to living from the heart, from existing from the heart, and and when you do that, the highest vibration in this universe is love, because that's what we all are. So the more we live from love, the higher we raise our vibration, and the more ease and grace that we get on our path up the mountain. So we're all starting to talk the talk, and now it's time to walk the walk. You see the talk all over the place. You see heart-centered living, heart-centered business, heart-centered networking, heart-centered marketing, heart-centered this, heart-centered that, and yet many of us are still, we're all working towards truly getting there 100%. So in many ways, I think we're talking the talk first. And sometimes you ever hear the term talk it till you walk it, talk it till you feel it, or say it till you feel it. That's sort of a start, and it's good. It's very good. There's nothing bad about that. But the next step now that we're getting that terminology is that we have to start feeling and doing it and walking the walk. For example, a lot of people, and we have the stuff that's like already integrated in our vocabulary, like even the term namaste, which is very popular in yoga. It's used, and in writings about peace and love and all that kind of stuff. Well, people say namaste, and they just think of it as sort of like a ciao, like an opening or closing. But the actual meaning to the term is the divine in me bows to the divine in you. Soul to soul, heart to heart, we are connected. That's what that's about. There are some really other cool terms in some other cultures. The Mayans have a greeting that's in Lakech Alakin, which means I am another you. We are connected. The Lakotas say Mitakui Oyasin, which means we are all related, or that everything is connected again. And then there are African tribes, that greet one another by looking into each other's eyes for like 10 or 15 seconds, directly into each other's eyes, and they say, I see you, the equivalent of I see you. And the response is so beautiful. It's I am here. Meaning there is nothing but us together as one, here and now. We are connected. So Think about that in using that terminology, because it's so pure, and that does come back to the I see you. I love the I see you and I am here. The I see you goes right back to Avatar, right? And it's one of my favorite movies because it talks about our connectedness, and it's just so beautifully done. I am here, meaning I'm right here in the now with you, and that's it. I'm right here with you. We've gotten into the habit, again, we go back to living from the mind, and we've got all this chatter going on, and we want to hear all this stuff, and we want to hear what we should be afraid of, and what we should fear, and what we should be angry about, and all this kind of stuff, and we're hearing all of it, and it's all this chatter. You know, look at how connected we are. Email, cell phones, texting cell phones. And we're constantly connected, and how do we connect heart to heart if we can never truly focus in on who we're talking to at this moment? Unless I'm expecting a very important phone call, if I am meeting with somebody or I'm talking to somebody, I turn the phone off. I turn it off, or I leave it in the car, because I want to give my full attention to the person I'm with. So think about that, and think about how is it we can start changing the way we're habitualized and the habits that we have. We have talked our egos into thinking, well, the more people we're connected to at once, the more connected we are, the more loved we are, the more worthy we are. When at the end of the day, we are worthy and we are loved no matter what. I connect with a lot of beings in the higher realms, and archangels, ascended masters, other beings of light, and they are, I'll tell you what, so much from love. And it goes back to when people ask me, well, I'm sort of intimidated about talking to an archangel, and what should I ask, and I don't want to be petty, and blah blah blah. And and I was talking about the humor, and I was talking about, well, how you talk to him like you talk to your best friend, and to somebody who loves you unconditionally, because that's how they are with all of us. And on the beautiful, the moments where I've actually felt like I've had physical contact or overlays with these beings, it is the most expansive, just absolutely bursting at the seams love that I have ever experienced. It's magnificent, and that's where we want to get back to. A friend of mine does this work as well, and she always talks about how her goal, and how all of our goals, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could be in complete and utter love with every single person in our lives, with every single person that we meet? Well, that's living from love. That is a great goal to have, because it does make us then accept everybody for who they are, accept us for our individual paths, and remember that we are all one, and that we are connected, and we are all the divine. So, how do you start is the question in many respects. A great exercise, here's your homework for this weekend. Great exercise is, notice when you are very head-oriented. Notice when your head is going, 1,000 miles a minute. And then take your focus and center it down in your heart. Whenever I talk to people about meditating and getting them started in meditating, or just developing the meditative skills, I'm always talking about, when you clear your mind and take deep breaths, how we move our focus and our concentration into our heart, into our heartbeat, into our soul. And this is where the light of divinity shines from this part of us. So whenever we get too focused up here, and too much is going on up here, we should take a moment, take some deep breaths, and then focus back in on the heart. A great exercise is when you are getting angry or irritable, or short about something. Do that. Take a couple of breaths, go back to the heart, and say either to yourself or out loud, which I love saying out loud, I am divine love. I am divine love. Now, It's a very funny story because when I started doing this, became a catchphrase in my house, and it was actually a funny joke because I would get really irritated about something, and I would be like, I am divine love. But eventually, when you remember it and you're saying it, you're giving more energy to it, you begin to feel it and you begin to become more focused that way. We're all working on different things at different levels, and we're all still having, that we're all still spiritual beings having this human experience, but we are working to this next level of existence. So that's it for your homework for this weekend. Much to think about. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. And this is Angela with a cup of tea.